I want to start this video off by saying I think whatever Jagex eventually ends up coming out with, it is going to be great content. I'm just very scared for all three of these proposals are not really up to snuff on what I was hoping for, at least. To be completely honest, I voted no to the new skill, but I mean, I kind of knew it was going to happen anyways, and I was just hoping that whatever they decided to come out with was going to be just amazing, which again, I'm sure it will be. I cannot see a future where Jagex is not releasing good content because the previous updates have just been amazing. So I'm hoping they continue with that trend, but these three kind of scare me. I'm going to kind of cut this into sections, this video, and the first one we're going to go is shamanism. Now this one honestly worries me the most. I'm just going to real quick read their little summary of it. Study the magic powers of nature through shamanism and unlock the ability to perform rituals. Gather components, perform rituals, and infuse objects with the magic of the spirit realm. Create powerful items like Tiki's totem poultice and augment your own gear or your own equipment with powerful new effects. Your mastery of shamanism will let you unlock your third eye and gain access to the spirit realm and communicate with spirits lingering between the two worlds. Now, the part about this that really worries me is add augments to your own equipment with powerful new effects. It sounds really cool. It sounds like it's a cool mechanic, but we've kind of seen this before in RS3 with invention. And real quick, I'm going to take a quote from I think it's the reward spaces of the shamanism blog post, and it says, but you'll also be able to augment your existing gear with powerful magic bonuses. And then if you look at the invention Wikipedia for RS3, it says some will help unlock new areas. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Players are able to augment certain tools, weapons, shields, torsos, and leg slot armor. If that doesn't sound just like a copy paste of it, like just the same thing, but just a few words are separate. I mean, it literally just seems like they took the same idea. And I've read over the blog once or twice. Well, I read over it once and I kind of skimmed back through it a second time before I made this video. And I mean, it is different. There is definitely differences in the way you're going to go about this. It sounds like they are wanting to make the components untradeable. You have to go through and forge them. But I wouldn't be surprised if at least the natural components, you can buy the items and break them down into their components, almost like you can do with invention. And then you draw rituals and you do all this stuff, which I mean is stuff you do with invention. It's just kind of worded differently, but hopefully it's not viable if this is the one. I've seen a lot of people saying this is the one they want, which is what worries me the most, because it really just looks like a copy and paste of invention. Maybe some things are different, but it looks really similar. The way that I could see that this skill would flourish and be a really welcome part of old school is if it was not necessarily geared toward making your gear better, because what I'm thinking is going to happen is you're going to have to make these augments to put them on your gear to have the best in slot gear, which I mean is all it's going to do is make it to where you have to do it with all of your gear or whichever tier gear you have. So it's not going to change what's best in slot. Maybe it will if the magic bonuses are specifically geared towards some pieces of armor or weapons. That might change up the meta a little bit, which would be cool to see. But at the same time, if it's just going to make the numbers bigger, I don't think it's going to change it enough for it to be its own thing. It's just going to make the numbers on the screen bigger, which kind of worries me. It's going to make a lot of encounters easier, which I mean, a lot of people are going to say, oh, like, why wouldn't you want something to be easier? I think I like the challenge. I like the challenge of the game, and it's, as time goes on, the power creep keeps getting further and further. And if we're literally just adding, because it does say, let me see if I can find it real quick. It says a stat increase. That can be one of the possible upgrades that you put on a piece of gear. It's just a stat increase. You're literally just increasing the numbers. Why do we want to just have that much power creep in the game? We're going to have to do that with every piece of armor you're using to have the best in slot. We already have really expensive gear. Why are we trying to further increase it like that. That's kind of all my thoughts on shamanism for now. Let's move on to taming, which is the one I'm simultaneously the most excited for and the most scared of. It seems like it could be the coolest skill ever. When I first looked at it and read it, I thought it was just summoning. It just looked like summoning. But as I kind of read through it more, they do say that they don't want it to be summoning and that it's not going to be very combat oriented, but it reads like summoning. Here, let me see if I can find what they say about it. It reads, summoning is a skill where creatures are nothing but temporary tools. In taming, your companions are permanent products of your efforts to train and befriend them. So what you're saying is instead of them being balanced by them only being temporary, so you have to go and get them again, or you have to pay more to have them, they're permanent. I don't know how that takes back from it. They say there's more differences, but it literally reads like it is a buffed version of summoning. They specifically say that it's not, and I'm hoping that they're not going to add stuff like the pack yak, because that would just be ridiculous. They say it's going to help with other skills, but I hope that doesn't mean you're going to have a second inventory. That's basically why I think it's extremely a scary part, that it could just at any point become summoning. It sounds like it could just be summoning, but then they go on and say that you can level up your creature or your companion and make it stronger, and as you grow, it'll grow, which I think is really interesting. Almost like it's like a little Tamagotchi, and that could be a really fun little aspect of the game, but they have to take it in the right direction, or it's going to be an extremely scary part of the game that is going to be used everywhere, and every piece of content is going to need a companion to use it there. I'm hoping it's just going to help you, maybe give you an XP bonus, maybe make you fail some obstacles less, something like that, give you a better catch rate, anything like that. I really don't want it to be combat oriented. If one of these skills comes out, I hope it's not extremely heavy on the combat orient, because they say they're not, but I feel like the further it goes, it's going to get pushed in that direction. People want that. I don't know why people, every time they're like, oh, DPS goes up, say yes to that pull every single time. I don't agree with that, but I mean, if that's what the majority of the player base wants, who am I to say no? Real fast, I'm editing this and I didn't make my point very clear. It's not that the way you train the two skills sound the same, it's the end result. Like the core gameplay loop of training taming sounds a lot different than it does from how you would train summoning, but the end result of getting these powerful creatures that are going to help you along the way in your adventure in RuneScape is what sounds so similar and why I think it's bad. That's it. That's kind of going to close my thoughts on taming for now. If I can't really think of anything else at the time. It seems like a good idea, but also seems awful. Or not awful, just I think it could go in the wrong direction. Let's move on to sailing. Sailing is probably my favorite choice out of these, I guess. There's not much on it. They don't say much. It's all just kind of, they're like, oh, what's it gonna be? You're gonna sail. They kind of like say, oh, it might be this, it might be that, all this other stuff. And if it is all those things, it would be really cool, but they don't really nail anything down, which they say it's like, oh, this is just like the idea phase, and then we're gonna, when we get to the refinement phase, we will have more on it. But I feel like if we want to get there, we need an idea of what it's actually gonna be, because I have a bad feeling that whatever passes here, it's just gonna pass the next one, no matter how abhorrent the skill actually turns out to be, which again, I don't think it's going to be terrible. I don't think Jagex is ever going to release anything like that that's going to be really bad for the game. I think they've learned from their past mistakes, but I mean, for me, I want it to be good for me. I'm being selfish here. And this one could be the best, or it could be the worst. Everybody kind of looks at it as a meme, because, you know, but they do say they are whatever. I'm not looking at it as from when they first pitched it. I'm looking at it from now, and they're not giving you much to even look at. So I can't really say this is a good pick either. And that's really why, like, none of these seem like a good option, like, at all. I don't want to vote yes to any of these. I don't want to say, let's move on with this one. I want to say, give me new ones, or just expand upon these ones more. Just give us a little more. Give us one more blog post about each of these, so that we can see if we actually want one of these in the game, because right now I don't want any of them. A lot of people are saying shamanism is the best one, but I don't agree. It seems like it would be a bad addition to the game, at least in my opinion, from what I've read, which isn't much. There could be a lot more to be said about it, and I hope there will be soon. Anyways, guys, it's gonna wrap it up for me now. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Whichever one you like the most, whichever one you hate the most. Why I'm wrong, because I definitely am wrong, but just let me know.